expressed in the following program are not necessarily those of Eastlink Television, its sponsors, or partners.
Welcome back to The Straight Goods, the Enviroshow. My name is John Abati. We're joined now by Tony DeNicola and Pam DeNicola of the Avon Peninsula Watershed Preservation Society. They're going to discuss the expansion of a gypsum mine on the Avon Peninsula down in West Hants, just kind of north of Windsor, is it not?
Yes.
Right. So I guess first we'll just say what's your group, why were they formed?
Our group, the Avon Peninsula Watershed Preservation Society, is a group of kind of concerned citizens that arose out of some local residents in the area who became aware of a gypsum mine that was hoping to, that is trying to expand. And it's just, so we're just formed a society in trying to gather support in stopping that expansion.
Basically, first a group of residents started meeting to find out how everybody felt about it, to express their concerns. And that started about around January, I think, of 2006. And then around April, May of 2006, the society, the Avon Peninsula Watershed Preservation Society, was actually formed as a society.
Okay, now there's what really is the concern? Like, you know, the mine. There's the mine there now. There's a mine there now, right? They're trying to expand the present mine.
Yeah, they're hoping to cross onto the eastern side of Ferry Road, so which is coming into kind of the heart of our community. Our community is bordered on three sides by rivers, so it's a very kind of enclosed location, and they're coming right into the heart of it. And so our main concern, I think, is water, because they're hoping to have the mine right in the highest point, which is in our watershed. And not only that, it's one of the only major wildlife habitats left in the area. And we're also very concerned about just the quality of life from the pollution given off from the mine and the noise and the trucks driving everywhere, and just overall our general quality of life.
As it stands right now, it's a peninsula, like you're saying, it's surrounded by water, so you're kind of limited on where you can get your fresh water from.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This area where they're mining, what is it now? What's there now?
Right now, it's actually, historically, it's called the Commons.
I should say where they're planning on mining, where they're mining, where their future plan is to expand. So, yeah, what is that now?
It's mostly just old pasture land, hayfields, and woodlots that was used as kind of a communal grazing grounds for farmers.
Yeah.
And it's the high point of the peninsula.
It's the
highest point, and it was at one time called the Commons Watershed, because residents in the community shared that land, even though it was privately owned by different landowners, but it was just shared among the residents for agricultural purposes and also as a source of sustainable lumber and firewood.
Okay. As it is now, it's forested. Some of it is.
Some of it.
Is the mine going into this forested region?
The only activity that's been happening thus far is there's been Conestoga Rovers, which is the hired team that is conducting the environmental assessment, has been in there, and they've had to construct a few roads so they can get in there and do some drilling for some core testing and water and whatnot. However, there has been some clear cutting because some of the land that Fundy Gypsum has purchased, they've been some of the land, the previous landowners have still had the wood rights to that, and so there's been clear cutting going on actually during the environmental assessment, which is part of our concern, is we feel that you can't have a legitimate environmental assessment while the area in question is being degraded.
the proposed mine, though, is it going to go into this woodland area?
Yes.
Okay, and this is as the high point and woodland.
Yes.
It's your water supply for your wells of whole peninsula, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. How much of this woodlot is proposed to be disturbed?
Roughly, I think 1,400 acres.
You don't know percentage-wise? That's like what?
Oh, the percentage of this area? No, I don't know.
Okay. And right now, is this land owned? Who's this land owned by? It's by
Right now, it's
individuals.
No, it's owned by Fundy Gypsum. Over the past 20 years, they've been kind of silently accruing it from various landowners.
Yeah. That's one thing. We've lived in Belmont, which is one of the communities on the peninsula, since 1991, and we have a farm there. And when we first purchased the farm, knew that mine existed east of Ferry Road, but I didn't have any awareness that it was going to be expanding into the peninsula area. So it was a question of not particularly liking it there because it's in the view, we see it every day. It's right in the view of where we live. But I felt, well, okay, it's there, that's fine. It's not going to affect what we're doing here. But actually, that was somewhat naive because now I'm finding out that there possibly are effects. In fact, the farm that we bought was previously owned by another person who was developing it and built a large pig barn. He was going to raise pigs, and then he also started a small dairy operation. In order to have these animals there, he drilled a well. And when we first drilled it, the water was good. There was a sufficient quantity, and the quality was fine. Within a few years, that changed, and the water became undrinkable for the livestock. Consequently, he developed this in 1979. By 1986, he had to sell because it wasn't workable for his hog and dairy operation. Now, he couldn't directly say that the mine was the cause of that, although the well driller thought that it was possible that the blasting from the mine had changed the underground water flow. But there was no way to prove this.
Yeah. The terrain, well, not the topography, but the geology, the soils, I guess it's gypsum or it's limestone. What it is?
Well, it's gypsum underneath. I don't know after how much topsoil or bedrock or much of actually the geology of the area. However, it has been zoned Agriculture Priority 1, and it's actually one of the few places in Hants County that has been zoned Agriculture Priority 1. And so that's also one of our major concerns, that here we are with some of the only prime agricultural land in Nova Scotia, and it's going to be dug up. And other than that, the gypsum company themselves has said that it's called a karst, how the gypsum forms, is that it's actually very complex, this karst, and it's not even the best gypsum to be mining.
So you're sacrificing agriculture. The concern was the agricultural priority. Now, how much power does that have?
At first, we thought that it would it was a kind of a trump card for us, because we thought that the municipality would have to have public hearings before it could rezone it to mineral resources. However, I think that it's not quite so. I don't know the exact logistics of it, but I do believe that there isn't going to be public hearings in that.
There's something in regard to mining has rights over the zoning.
Before they expand the mine, there is a public consultation period, is there not? Do they apply for an environmental assessment yet?
No, they haven't actually applied for the permit yet. They're still compiling their the environmental assessment. I think that we're going to try to have it submitted sometime in the first quarter, so really any time now.
And are people able to comment then?
Yeah, supposedly the process is after the company submits its registration for approval by I believe it's the Department of Environment and Labor, that there's a window of time, approximately 10 days, in which the public can respond to that. It's not a lot of time for people to really look at the issues, come together, and discuss them. That's one of the reasons why the society and residents did come together. It was because we realized that this is something you have to really prepare for. We have to educate ourselves. We have to understand what the situation is. We have to be prepared to deal with what the company is saying they want to do and the effects that it will have in that.
Do you have a website?
Yes, we do. It is www.apwps.ca. There is a petition on it, and we encourage everybody to check out the website, read up a little bit more. You'll get a lot more in-depth about what's going on. And there's a petition. Please sign it and show whatever support you can, because we really appreciate it.
Yeah, it would be good for people to get involved. They're just a small community with 100, 200 residents that is limited on their voice. So the more people that can help them, the better. So check out their website, apwps.ca, and sign their petition. This could happen in your own backyard. It could be your water supply being affected. So we need to voice our concerns and stand up for the future of agriculture and everyone's water supplies for the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out.